The answer. Welcome to Monday, another broadcast week, our first full week of our second year on the air. Had our anniversary show last week. That's exciting. To make it 1 year in media is a really big deal. And so thank you for everybody who's been supporting us through this, whether you're a listener. I was about to say just a listener, but there's no such thing as just a listener. And we hope that you are enjoying what we're doing, being inspired by it, getting involved, but also those who have brought us here, our sponsors, certainly our guests, all of our citizen journalists and our interns, and everybody praying for us, and everybody who's been involved in any way here, all of the staff at Salem. We're so thankful to be here, starting our second year, and in a way, this is a new dawn in America. Whether or not you like the results of the elections, we now have a new president or an old president back for his second term. And the inauguration was this morning, and hope that you had time to check that out, because this is who is going to be leading the country for the next 4 years. And we need to know what that's about, what that means to us, how it impacts us. This is what we have, America. And so we need to deal with it, and we need to deal with it together. But more importantly, the way I see it, and certainly you're listening to conservative talk radio, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a leave me alone libertarian guy. I'm a small government conservative guy, and so I prefer this government to that, because I believe that that's what they are too, at least compared to the previous one. But regardless, what goes on in Washington, we can't do much about. I mean, we send our representatives off there, and maybe we'll talk to them. And Congressman Jeff Crank is a friend of mine, so I get to be in touch with him. I get to be in touch with a lot of people. It's great. It's great to have a radio show, and it's great to know a lot of people. But in the end, really, it's what we do back here in our town, in Colorado Springs, in El Paso County, in Pikes Peak, that is going to have 99% of the impact on your life. What's going on with our streets, with our schools, with our businesses, with our politics here. And so while there are many that are looking to clean up the swamp, as they call it in Washington, D.C., we need to do the same here. We're a pretty big city, we're growing, and things are not as good as they could be. I think we're a great city with great people and a lot of potential and a lot of great things going on. I love covering this town. But yet every area has its issues, and that's where the media comes in order to reveal those things and to call everybody into account and to encourage everyone to do better. So I'm taking this as an opportunity of this new government that we have in order to see how can we be more effective as media. Certainly there's been a lot of censorship, there's been a lot of pressure on conservative news outlets. Those things are going to be alleviated, and if you felt in some way oppressed in any way to not speak, or the way that your business or anything, it's time. It's always time. But let's take this time to rise up and do better and do here in the community, regardless of who is in power in Washington, D.C. Well, this is Business and Culture Monday, as always, and we have as our guest and co-host for the hour, Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to be talking about the Hispanic Chamber and issues within the Hispanic business community over the course of this hour. Joe Aldaz, thanks so much for being on the Peak.
Well, thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you here. And also, not only is today Inauguration Day, but it's also Martin Luther King Day. So all of these things coming together, and certainly, with everything that's been going on, it's been so much about race in our country. Everybody hired on race, compared on race, the first this and the second that, or whatever. And Martin Luther King tried to teach us over 50 years ago, 60 years ago, to skip that. It's about the content of people's character. It's that we live in a country where you can work your way to anything, and look at what we have here in our city. We have a black mayor who's not only black, but he's African black, and he's only been in the country about 10 years, and he's a mayor of a pretty major city in America. That is a wonderful place. I, as a Jewish American, love that. Joe, as a Hispanic American, we all love this opportunity. So I would say, as we move forward into this new time, new dawn, whatever you want to call it, in our country, let's take advantage of what's going on. Let's stop complaining, and let's get out there and do our best and try to do well for our families, for our communities, for our city, for our state, because we are the government, we the people. And I'm happy for the opportunity that we're given here. Hi, I'm Goldman the Watchman. You're listening to the Peak News, and we'll be right back with Joe Aldaz of the Hispanic Chamber. Cool.
Are we done?
I am. That's how I set the tone of the show. I never know exactly what I'm going to say.
You gotta come out here, say thanks for having me, and that's it.
Yeah. No, now you're on. So I have some promos that I skipped. I'm going to start because we only have 2.
One thing is, just speak a little closer so we
Oh
you
yeah.
can adjust this.
Well,
all.
bring it as close as you need to. Bring it to you.
Yeah, wherever you're comfortable. So
Yeah.
you're a couple inches like that.
But it does. Are we streaming?
Yep, for sure.
Okay, great. It has a very close pickup pattern of just
Okay.
a couple inches, so that's where you're going to get the best audio. Okay. Okay. So you're born in America?
Mhm.
Okay. Where's your family from? Where's your?
I am
origins?
was born and raised in a little town in northeastern New Mexico, Raton, New Mexico,
Okay.
just down the road.
Cool. And your family's been in the country
Oh,
a long time?
centuries.
Century. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. My family's just been here since about 1900.
Yeah, we can trace it back to the conquistadores when
Oh,
they
really?
came into the New Mexico territory.
Okay. Cool.
So we came.
So pre
we came
United States.
Yeah, we
Pre-America.
migrated through Spain. There's actually a village in the Basque region of Spain called Aldaz.
Oh.
So we
okay.
traced to there, and obviously, when they came over to Mexico and Latin America, eventually our roots landed here.
So you think you're Basque?
Well, we are
You are
Basque.
Basque?
Yeah,
Okay.
we know that. I had a cousin that.
Good, you're rebels. I like rebels.
Yeah. If you saw my grandfather, he was almost as dark as Frank.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit lighter complected, but very, very dark. Yeah, Epifanio Torres Aldaz.
Okay.
Aldaz.
Okay. And there was also this thing, Mayor Yemi put out his strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had a chance to?
I have not had a
Review it?
chance to
Okay.
see that yet.
When was it put out?
Just came out like a day or 2
Yeah,
ago.
I probably haven't
So I have here all the different points on it. We'll look for policies. We'll see if he actually has any policies. They've been hard to find in the mayor's contest too, but just
Oh, you're journalistic.
well, hey,
Acumen is showing.
and by the way, we're never at break. We're always on Facebook, so it's another thing too. We're never down during the hour here, so sometimes people get a little behind the scenes look at what we do here. It's good because we're citizen journalists,
Mhm.
so we're trying to get other people in. So if they can see what we do here, we draw more people in. But in the end, it's more looking like we're going to get.
Were you a
youth.
journalist before?
I have a degree in broadcasting and film.
Oh, did-
Yeah, but it was more from the video but I've always been a storyteller. But so it's always, and then when you become a believer, it's a heart for truth, right? It's just, you want to evangelizing truth, whatever that truth is, man. Okay, we're back on. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer, and also our website, thepeak.news, for everything The Peak. You can go on there and listen to our 175, 6, 7 podcasts that we've done in our first year. We have all the information about being a citizen journalist, about being a tech or an intern. That is growing. We have a lot of news to bring you on the intern front. But overall, the Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud. We set out to do the journalism that isn't being done in town. We hope that you will join us in doing so. And we are having an event called Taste of the Peak that's going to be at the Pinery on the 30th of January, Thursday the 30th of January, because as part of this citizen journalism project, we started a nonprofit called the Peak News Educational Foundation, and it's to raise up a generation of integral journalists, of ethical journalists. And yes, that is such a thing. We are supposed to be ethical in journalism, and hopefully there's a renaissance now going on, and we want to be at the forefront of that. So we started this nonprofit foundation, and we're having an event for a benefit of the foundation. We'll have great speakers. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please check it out at thepeak.news/events. It's definitely going to sell out, so get your ticket now. Inexpensive ticket. And this is a way that we come from behind the mic, get out into the community and mix, because really we need everybody talking to each other. We can't be in these bubbles anymore. We have to cross-pollinate. We got to talk with each other and work out creative solutions for the betterment of our community. So please join us at that event. And I want to do a shout out to our platinum sponsor, Springs Dentist, and Dr. Craig Summer, Holistic Dentistry in Colorado Springs, as well as all of our other sponsors. But Springs Dentist, they're our family dentist, and check them out, especially if you're into natural health. Springs Dentists. So we have as our guest and co-host for the hour today is Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And this is our headline segment, so we're going to get into that. And first, Joe, again, thanks so much for being on the Peak.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity to kind of share our story.
All right, and you've been sitting here listening to me talk. Now I told you we'd get to a point where you get to talk. So
Right.
this is Martin Luther King Day, and generally there's like this obligation. You have to bring on like a pastor, like a black pastor on, and I actually have Frank was here. You were here last. Frank's sitting in on our show, Frank Sinclair, and he's co-hosted. And he was here a year ago because we were new, and I was like, "It's MLK Day. I gotta get a dark brother in here to talk about that." But that's ridiculous because that's exactly the opposite of what Martin Luther King wanted here. So, but I'll turn, because certainly the representation of people of color in this country, whether it be socially or business or anything else, was a hard slog for quite a while until we came into the time of civil rights, and that was a great period of time for equalizing things. What does Martin Luther King mean to you? What does it represent to you, and do you think the Hispanic community in general here in America?
Well, I think what Martin Luther King represents is he represented opportunity, because the road that he paved has created opportunity for generations to come. And I would compare him also to Hispanic individual, Cesar Chavez. Both of them, I think, paved the way because of their
workers, yeah.
because of their nonviolent, peaceful way of demonstrating. And it wasn't about so much the politics. It's about those races having a place here in America, and they created those opportunities that we now have benefited from. These are a growing sector of our market, our Latinos and Black Americans.
Do you feel, as someone who's, and we were talking, you'll give your background later on in an interview, but your family's been here, before the United States of America was the United States of America. How do you feel about America? Do you feel that it's a place where we're colorblind, or is there still an amount of racism that enters into the decision making here?
Well, I want to believe that it's not about race, but depending on the different portions of our country, it can be about race. And I think we are continuing to evolve as a country where it's about meritocracy and people having a place in the business sector, the government sector, based on their qualifications for positions.
And how about here in the Colorado Springs, El Paso County area, Colorado? I know is it something like 30% of the people in the state or have Hispanic background? Does it get felt here? Do people within the chamber ever talk about discrimination in that way?
It's beginning to be felt, as we mentioned before we came back on live here. We've had the first black immigrant mayor in our city, which is, I think, is a huge step. And not a lot may know is I brokered having Latino small business owners over the past 2 years to be part of the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC Board of Directors. And one of those individuals that I recommended, a small business owner of Minuteman Press, elevated himself to probably be the first Latino board chair of the Colorado Springs Chamber in its history. So I see that slow progress. One thing that our chamber advocates for, if you go and look at our board of directors, we reflect the diversity of our community. We have Latina business owners. We have military veterans. We have a black American. So we cover what our community looks like. And through our Adelante Leadership Institute, we are advocating for emerging Latino and Latina leaders to become civically engaged with the leadership skills to start to begin to have seats at the table for the nonprofit boards and commissions in our community to further start to look more like our community, because we are a growing population here, the fastest growing demographic in Colorado Springs, and one of the fastest growing business markets in Colorado Springs.
Okay. Well, today was a presidential inauguration. We now have a President Trump, and also just the legislators in Colorado just started meeting about a week or so ago. How are you seeing this election from a business standpoint? I know that the chamber is not a political organization, right. but from a business standpoint, what are you seeing? What are you looking forward to or being cautious about with the new administration that we have as far as business goes?
Well, I think as a chamber, we're seeing it with opportunity and optimism. I see that it's going to be easier for entrepreneurs to now start small businesses in the United States, looking at deregulating a lot of those barriers to starting small business, because that takes an investment from a startup or an entrepreneur to have that investment to be regulated. And now with policies probably changing to deregulate, to allow more opportunity to build business, I think that's a plus that we can see from our perspective of our niche of that small business owner.
Is there anything that you'd like to see the legislature do specifically during these 4 months here to help businesses?
Well, I think make it easier for those micro and small businesses to start here in Colorado. If there's ways to develop policy or remove policy that have been barriers to starting business, I see that as a plus. Because as we know, we always see big Fortune 500, big corporations as driving our economy. Yes, they provide jobs to a lot of our citizens, but it's the small business sector that drives the economy, not only in Colorado, but the United States.
What are there specific kind of businesses that Hispanics get into more than the general population?
I believe that one of the big sectors of the small business community from a Hispanic perspective is in the construction industry. Very qualified, what we'd call subcontractors in that sector. The drywallers, cement, landscapers, all of those subcontractors are part of those bigger contractors filling that economic sector here in Colorado.
So construction's real big.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Goldman the Watchman. We're spending the hour with Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. When we come back, Joe is going to talk about why Latinos drive economic growth. You're listening to The Peak, and we'll be right back. Cool.
Good sector.
Good segment. What?
That's a good sector.
Good segment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. We getting in flow? Is it comfortable? Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. So again, I'll introduce you. You'll have about 4 minutes. I'll end up giving you 3, 2, and 1.
So what if
and
I
then
finish
30 seconds.
in less than 4 minutes?
I'll have to jump in and ask a follow-up.
Okay.
But
I'll be
try
glad.
to fill
I'll
the
try to
space.
pace it.
Pace it. You'll feel it as I go. As
Okay.
I give you these cues. That's why I don't do wrap up at the end. I give you 30 seconds
Okay.
at the end because that lets you put the final chapter on. But I'm always waiting there, feeling it out, seeing how things are going, and if we have time for a follow-up. But try to keep the energy up.
Okay.
The passion should come through of what you're talking about, and I think that's three. Forget there was something else I was thinking of saying, but it went out.
Rocky Mountain Voice is a new conservative news source providing Colorado with reliable quality news that builds community and allows citizens to make informed, educated decisions. Our robust website at RockyMountainVoice.com is continually updated with news from your favorite freedom-loving radio programs, podcasts, and print journalists in Colorado, as well as our own original content. And it's all free. No paywalls, ads, or subscriptions. Join the movement now at RockyMountainVoice.com. Your values, your voice.
For a refreshing new take on wine and cheese, enjoy Vine and Wheel in downtown Colorado Springs. Carefully curated for the wine and cheese lovers, foodies, ladies' night outers, date night planners, and everyone in between, for both casual dining and private events. Their menu features the highest quality meats, cheeses, and wines, selected to complement each other in a symphony of flavor. Every Wednesday through Sunday at 616 South Mahone Street. For more information and to book, go to vineandwheel.com. Because wine and cheese are meant to be enjoyed together.
Want a smarter way to renovate your kitchen or bath than this? Whoa! Then don't let anyone smash up anything with a sledgehammer. Call Granite Transformations and Trend Transformations and tell them Janet sent you. Our gorgeous Ethereum by Eastone countertops and our backsplashes installed
We'll be
right
back in
on
about a
the
minute,
existing
Joe.
ones.
Okay.
Sound smart? It is.
For more information, go to granitetransformations.com. That's granitetransformations.com.
We are not, I have Steve Holt on Crosswalk today talking about his new book.
Was he on?
No, he's on at 5 o'clock
No.
today. No, this is I often co-host. There's a pastor I co-host with he's sort of toward Jim Pierce. He's toward the Messianic. So we have these things where I bring in Jewish side, he brings in the Christian side, and we have something called Messiah in the middle. Said this is the Jewish position on this. This is Christian. This is how Messiah brought those worlds together, and we bring
You're a
them together.
Messianic Jew?
I'm Messianic Jew. Yeah.
I should bring Dr. Doug Hamp on. He was on
I
my
know.
show.
I know Doug.
You know Doug?
I know Doug. It's not a very big community. Yeah, I caused a little controversy on the show. Okay, we're back, Joe. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. And no, our answer to the musical question, will we lie to you? No, that's not what we do. We're here to say the quiet stuff out loud, to bring you truth, because that's what the media is supposed to be, truth in context, so that you can lead your own life. And it's not up for us to tell you what to think. But what I do want to encourage you to do is to go to Dad's Donuts. There are only the good stuff at Dad's Donuts. Say goodbye to artificial additives. Say hello to real simple ingredients. Downtown Colorado Springs, Dad's Donuts, one of our gold sponsors here on the Peak News. Thanks so much for supporting us. Well, we have with us for the hour on Business and Culture Day, Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And in this segment, Joe is talking to us about why Latinos drive economic growth. Joe Aldaz.
Well, thank you. What I want to preface this with, this is now Latino time. United States Latinos are a driving force in our country's economic growth, but most Americans don't know that. Unfortunately, city, state, and federal agencies are making decisions based on misperceptions and not data. So I'm going to overwhelm you with a lot of data and facts. A case in point would be the growth of the Latino population is in a direct relation to the impact Latinos have on the local and national economy. It is predicted by 2050, population estimates predict that 1 in 3 Americans will be Latino. In Colorado, more than 21% of the population is Latino, with an average age of 27 compared to 42 for our non-Hispanics, whites. El Paso County is one of the 5 counties in Colorado with the highest Latino population growth, as an example. And when you look at it at a national perspective, the Latino GDP is $3.6 trillion. That is the 5th largest in the world. It's larger than that of India, UK, and Canada, and just behind Japan and Germany. Why is this significant? Because Latinos are the major component of growth of the U.S. workforce, while the non-Latino workforce shrank by 4,000 workers between 2010 and 2015. As an example, the Latino workforce grew by 2.5 million, powering an overall increase of 2.4 million in the workforce between the ages of 25 and 64. According to World Demographic Research, there are approximately 6,000 Hispanic-owned businesses in the Pikes Peak region. So, this is the new Latino paradigm, which displays the economic impact Latinos make on the American economy. One fact that more people don't know is, according to Penn, Schoen, and Berland, Americans who do not know Latinos are more likely to believe negative stereotypes. Here are just a few examples. Americans who have non-Latino acquaintances are 54% more likely to believe Latinos are a drag on the economy, while 25% of Americans with Latino acquaintances believe otherwise. Another example of a misperception is 52% of Americans with non-Latino acquaintances believe most Latinos are illegal immigrants, while 27% of those Americans with Latino acquaintances believe otherwise. Those are just a couple examples. So, despite those misperceptions, Latinos are making an impact on our economy. As an example, Diego Lujan is a Latino entrepreneur with Alpha Elite Plumbing. He's a driving force in the Latino sector. He was a 2021 Rising Star and the 2020 Hispanic Chamber Business of the Year. That's one example. Another example is Jessica Atrevida of Atrevida Beer Company. She is one of the only Latina brewers in the country who owns a brewer company. So, with that said, the challenge for our city, county, and business leaders is to understand the impact of the Latino dollar and the serial entrepreneurs impacting our local economy. Latinos are a driving business growth, and new business means new jobs for all Americans.
You've been listening to Joe Aldaz. He is the president and CEO of the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. When we come back with Joe, well, we're going to be talking about how he got into this position and more about the importance of Hispanics on our economy, local, state, and federal. You're listening to The Peak, and we'll be right back after the short news break. Good. That was good. Well timed. Excellent. Awesome. So this is only a two minute.
Okay.
I want to ask, and we are still on Facebook Live, but we have this final segment at the end. Is there a non-political way, because I can't see having you on and not talking about the border, illegals, the wall's going to be going up, what this means? Is there a non-political way? Because if I don't ask that question, I just feel like I'm not.
Ask it, and I'll try to give the.
But what's a way to ask the question that you think where you can comment? I understand that you have to represent who you are. We all have to stay in our lanes at times. But how can I ask it in a way that you would view it as non-political? That it's.
I guess you could ask the question: will the change in administration affect border policy in the United States, and how that can impact business?
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. I mean, I don't even have to ask about the car. I can just say it is going to shift.
It is.
What does this mean for Hispanics overall? I mean, to me, I know my wife's from Miami, And so tons of Cubans. They hate the illegals, coming in because they came in on the bottom of a boat, they risked their lives to come and then they went through the legal route. So are you able to sort of differentiate between that with the illegal, because you said there's misnomer, like that to me even interesting. I don't need you to get into Trump, just it's going to shift. What might this mean to the business community and you differentiating between the illegal and legal ones? Is that something you're comfortable to do? Is that non-political? Is that more social?
Well, I think we're just hoping that immigrants trying to come into our country are coming through the legal pathways, through ports of entry, and
Okay.
that. I think that's the big.
All right, we'll figure it out at the
Yeah.
next break. We're coming back in.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Peak News. It's Business and Culture Mondays. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. So happy to have you here. With the new presidential administration, in a way, many of us who are on the conservative side think that we're sort of taking the country back. But what's really, really important is that we take the media back, because the media has failed us for decades and decades and decades. We can't have a democracy, if we don't have good information. And so we're seeking to do that here in our region through the Peak News, and very specifically by raising up a new generation of ethical journalists, especially youth. And so we started a nonprofit organization, the Peak News Educational Foundation, in order to do that. We're making a lot of headway, looking like we're going to be in the public schools here teaching this, and we already have internships and a lot of interns around here. And we'd love you to learn more about that, to get a taste of what we're doing and have a good time. On January 30th at the Pinery, we're having a Taste of the Peak, and we'd love you to join us. It's an inexpensive ticket, fun evening, all to the benefit of our nonprofit organization. Go to thepeak.news/events and get your tickets before they run out, because this definitely will sell out. So we're spending the hour with our guest and co-host Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Joe, give us your background and how you came to be the President and CEO of our local Hispanic Chamber.
Sure. Well, my background, we've been in the community since 1999. I graduated from the Air Force Academy in 1983 and spent 21 years in the military. And my last assignment here was in Colorado Springs in 1999 at the Air Force Academy Prep School. I had the fortunate opportunity to be the director of athletics there and coach women's basketball. And then retired in 2004 and kind of migrated to that nonprofit sector business in Colorado Springs. And I fell into this role in 2018 as they reestablished the chamber in 2016. It had closed its doors in 2009. So they reestablished it in 2016 and asked me to come on the board in 2018. And I was kind of hesitant because I had served on a lot of boards, but I took the opportunity. Well, that evolved into being the volunteer board chair in the summer of June of 2018. I had a full-time position with Syracuse University doing remote veteran training that led to certification in IT, HR, and project management. So I was trying to balance both of those opportunities. And lo and behold, when the pandemic started, our board said, "Would you be our part-time executive?" And I said, "Sure, I'll take on that role." And I was a part-time salaried employee. I retired in March of last year from Syracuse, and I'm taking this on full-time as their sole employee of the chamber.
And your background is were from Spain and here before the formation of the United States.
Right, that's where our heritage is from, and most of them landed in New Mexico before it was a state. And I grew up in a small town just down the road from here, Raton, New Mexico.
Okay, and you're Basque.
Yes, we have traced our heritage back to the Basque region of Spain. There's actually a small village named Aldaz, and we kind of morphed the last name in the Basque language. It was spelled Aldatz, and it changed as we came across to Aldaz, Aldaz.
And if people don't know that, it's about in this region between France and Spain that's always sort of argued over or fought over, but the Basque tend to be rebels because
Right.
they've been between cultures for such a long time. So I love that. I'm a rebel too. So I love being around people. Love being around people who buck the system and hold out. That's what we as Jews and Israelis have been doing. Somehow we hold out also to hold on to our culture. So what is the importance of the Hispanic economy? You touched on some numbers in the previous segment, but both as business owners and consumers, talk about it from either the national level back to local, or the local up to national.
Well, it's an expanding market, and I know the non-Hispanic business owners want to understand how to penetrate that market and do business with them. There is a portion of that market that are predominantly Spanish speakers, but they provide a lot of different services. So what we try to do with the Hispanic Chamber is we're trying to educate all of our businesses how to do business from a Spanish-speaking perspective with the American market and the American market with the Spanish-speaking sector. And I see two distinct Latin markets. There's that immigrant business market. They've been here 5, 10, 15 years, predominantly Spanish speakers. They have small businesses. They're trying to learn how to grow those businesses, become business compliant with how America does business. And then we have that Chicano business market, where families have been here for decades. The children have grown up and they've built businesses. Back when they were growing up, their parents said you need to speak predominantly English for you to be successful. And they really understand how to grow business in the United States because they've grown up in the United States and understand that how you build business here and become compliant in order for you to grow.
And so how is this, you gave us the numbers before, but just repeat a little bit about local numbers, 6,000 businesses, but on a national scale.
On a national scale, I don't have the exact numbers, but it continues to grow, especially in those communities that have a high population of Latinos. Specifically, if you're looking in Florida, in Miami, in those areas, San Antonio, San Diego, where there's a large population of Hispanic, you can see the population growth, and obviously as the population grows, we as Latinos are very entrepreneurial. So they're wanting to grow business because they come here for opportunity, and part of that opportunity is building business.
So since we have a Hispanic chamber, are there special concerns, special issues or needs that the Hispanic community has that's somewhat different from the general population of business owners, such as his language? Is that an advantage, disadvantage?
Well, I think language can be a disadvantage for some if they're not totally fluent in English, if they're a Spanish-speaking business owner. Being able to build your business and going to get business resources as far as documentation, that would be in Spanish, so you can understand what you need to do to build your business. So that could be a barrier, but at the same time, from looking at it from a non-Hispanic business owner, a lot of them are wanting to become fluent in Spanish. A lot of our business owners say, I'm learning Spanish because I know that is a growing market here, and it will benefit me if I know how to communicate with Spanish-speaking business owners to try to do business to business between those different types of sectors of business in our community.
So we're going to talk about, there's an event that's coming up that you're hosting, but it has to do with Latina style. How would you define Latina style?
Well, we have been selected as one of 4 host cities in the country to host what they call the Latina Style Business Series through the Latina Style Business Magazine. It's been an event that's been going on for 25 years. They've hosted it at, I believe, 50 different cities. And we've been selected to do this national one-day event. It's a one-day conference that is empowering Latina entrepreneurs. The format of the conference is several different panel discussions on how to build business and and the different resources that are available for Latina business owners to either start or grow their business in our community.
And so again, how would you define Latina style? How is that?
The Latina Style is basically a magazine focused on Latina entrepreneurs. So if you if you look at that magazine,
Okay, so it's
That's what
specifically
they're
the name
promoting.
of a magazine, not a style.
no,
Okay.
exactly, it's called,
Okay.
and they call their series the Latina Style Business Series.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, I understand
Yep.
that. So we have a minute or so left. Talk about the Hispanic Chamber, your programs and services, and I'll say the website is cshispanicchamber.com for information about your
Sure.
conference and stuff. But when people are deciding whether to join the chamber, what are they getting from joining your chamber?
Well, we want to be the niche for small business owners. We are the only chamber in El Paso County that provides a digital business accelerator training program. We made that available for free for any startup or entrepreneur in our community, and it provides different training modules to learn how to build a financial plan, a business plan, a lot of different aspects of building a business. So we made that available across El Paso County for anybody that wants to have access to it. It's a 24/7 platform. Our major signature event is the premier small business summer social in Colorado. It's called La Vida. We do it on August 23rd, and that's just a way for our community to come together in a very celebrative type environment, and we do it at the Country Club of Colorado. And it's a great event where people come in and sample small bites of cuisine, small pours from distilleries and breweries, and we have 3 live bands that perform throughout the evening. So a great way to gather and connect and learn about each other from a community member perspective and from our Hispanic Chamber members' perspective.
Okay, well, we have a lot of chambers in town, but if you'd like that, I know that you do events together, the chambers work together in this town.
Yes, one of the things that we spearheaded was the Chambers of El Paso County, business after hours.
Oh, fantastic, to do all these events together.
Right.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. It's great. It's good to see cooperation, and obviously coming from business first, because that's really important. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, regarding how the border policies in our country may end up affecting business. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman, and we'll be right back with the Peak. Okay. So I left that generic, just to preview it. So where do you want to go with that? We'll have, let me see what my timing is, because I got to throw to a pre-recorded segment partway through. Let me see. What's the timing? Excuse me a sec. So we have it, he goes, Jim is both.
Yeah, he is really wanting it.
Okay. So, give me 2 questions to ask you regarding the border policy.
Well, I think your
business.
first question would be, how is the new border policy going to impact business? And I think I have an answer.
Okay.
I think it's going to create opportunity because the policy is going to drive immigrants wanting to come into our country the legal way, which then is going to create opportunity for them to be workers and build business because they understand the legal
Good.
process to come into our country.
Can I ask you how those who are citizens or either have been here a long time or go through the process, how they feel about the border and how things have been going the past 4 years, or how that is?
Yeah, you can
I
ask
can ask
that.
you that. Okay.
Certified physical incline specialist in Southern Colorado. We provide solutions that will assist you in maintaining your
By the way, I believe everything political is social. Like, I just don't like this thing we can't talk about because it's politics. It becomes politics because we need to make policy, but really it's about making social decisions that are for our, So I hate that so many things are characterized as political when they're actually just community and social concerns that we need to
But
make
if the
policy
other
on.
person frames it that way, then the conversation becomes impossible.
Right.
That's the problem.
I try to not. So you can try to teach me to be more sensitive to that, because I don't intend to.
Yeah.
Like, I do a voter guide, and people say you're political. I say no, I'm actually not. It's journalistic. My voter guide. It's to get you the information.
We've had this border challenge for decades. That continues not to be resolved
Under any administration.
under any
Yeah.
administration. So there are ideas on how it can be resolved, but I don't think.
Right. Well, I'm not going to ask you to solve it. I just, but how it may shift things up. Okay. Here we go. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer, and this is our final segment with Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I said, Joe, I can't do a program, especially Inauguration Day, not talk about the border, because even though there are people that are, have come through the border from every corner, of the corner of the globe. That's not a thing. Every part of the globe, it is seen as a Hispanic thing. It is seen as a Latin American thing because it is our border with Mexico. Certainly the policy is going to change radically as of today. How do you see that, and by meaning that the border should be very much tightened up and not have the illegal immigration, how do you see that impacting business in our region?
I mean, I really don't see it impacting immediately our businesses here. We still have upwards of 15 million or more immigrants here that are working in various jobs, whether they're Latino or immigrants from other countries. But I see it as an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity with optimism, because now as the policy changes, we are going to get more immigrants that understand if they come in legally through the right way, that's going to create more opportunity for them. And they're not going to be seen as those that are illegal. They have come in the right way, and they will understand that there's a process to go through to become citizens. So I think I'm optimistic that hopefully that creates that pipeline of those that are seeking opportunity here to understand, here's how we want you to come in, because a lot of it has to deal with coming in safely as well, versus coming through different points of this country. And we've seen in the media how that's been playing out here over the last several years.
My wife's from Miami, and I lived there for years, and certainly that's heavily Cuban, Venezuelan in that area, and I know how they look at the illegal immigrants. How does the Hispanic community here look at the illegal immigration?
Well, that hasn't really been a topic of discussion, so I think there's a variety of different opinions. Some that have come in and it's taken them years to become citizens may see it a lot differently than those that have just recently come here and are looking for are going through that process of becoming an American citizen. So it really hasn't been a topic of discussion amongst our business owners, and I think if you would talk to them, they're probably in a wait and see, because as we've previously discussed offline, this has been an issue for decades under different administrations and really hasn't been resolved. So a lot of great ideas, a lot of different ways of policy and ways of thinking about it, and we'll see how this is rolled out and how it plays out here in the next year and the next several years.
So how do you do public relations in that area? Because certainly a lot of Americans are, upset and see it very much as a Hispanic problem, the gang problems and all of those things. As someone who's representing the business community, how do you speak to that out in the community? Just interested to say we're not even talking about it that's so interesting to me, because the rest of us are.
What you just said, that it's an American gang problem, that's a stereotype.
Right. For sure.
Predominantly the citizens that are here legally are not affiliated with gangs, or may be here illegally, aren't affiliated with gangs. And that's what the media drives. They drive a certain element of a culture and stereotype it to the entire culture, which is doing a disservice. And unfortunately, the media likes to take sides and likes to, if it bleeds, it reads type philosophy.
Okay. Thank you. You've been listening to Joe Aldaz, President and CEO of the Colorado Springs Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Website is cshispanicchamber.com. Joe, thanks so much for being on the Peak.
Well, thank you for having me. We appreciated the opportunity.
And now Jim Miller, Just a Guy, and the Peak Ranch. Jim has given his rant both on the inauguration and MLK Day.
I gotta run, I gotta be there at 4:15, doing a podcast,
Okay.
actually. Yeah.
All right, but I appreciate Frank for supporting me. I really do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'll bring those documents tomorrow. So we're around 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I have a Zoom at 9:30, but I should be there at the exponential by 10. It's over at 9:30.
Okay.
And that's all.
Yeah, I'll be around for a minute anyway, in
Okay.
case you run behind.
All right, appreciate it.
You're welcome to stay, and if you have time to talk a
Yeah, I
little
gotta
bit,
go,
but if not, the broadcast is
Yeah, I
it's over.
gotta
I just
get
have
going.
to. I just have to do a quick close.
All right, well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks so much.
I really
And
do.
if you're available on the 30th, we'd love you to have come to our event that we're
Okay,
doing.
yeah, I did see the information.
Yeah,
Look at my
I'll
calendar.
send you a VIP code.
Okay.
You can come as our guest.
Sure thing.
And,
Send me that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks
No.
so much. You can finish your coffee. I'll have Zach walk you out.
Okay, sure thing.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you,
hopefully,
Joe.
I did okay.
Oh, you did. And let's talk about if you have recommendations. Zach is the primary person booking the show for us, so we're always looking.
Good things hearing about all that. He said it is the golden era for America. Let's hope that's right. Let's hope that is the golden era. I'd like to take it one step further and make it the platinum era of America. We had the golden era. That was the industrial revolution. Right? I hope it's great. I hope it's good. I hope it's better. Nothing can be worse than what we had with Joe Yatrico Biden and cackling million communist terrorist nonsense. That people basically destroyed our country, made it overtly expensive, terrible, saw inflation, and just didn't want us to have any of our freedom. Another good thing coming from Trump's inauguration, he did say he's going to try to pardon everybody that got falsely accused and prosecuted from January 6th. Don't forget that wasn't that long ago. If he's going to do that so people can exercise and stretch their margin and their freedom without releases that are paid for by the people, I'm all for it. Most of them people didn't do nothing wrong. Let's do it to it and make it happen. Martin Luther King Day and President Trump's inauguration day. It's a big day, January 20th. Here it is. Hope freedom rings. Remember, if you want it better, be better. I'm Jim Miller. I'm Just a Guy. This is the Peak Rants on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer.
So if there's a good story there, especially those who riches thing, immigrant stories, people coming down making good. That kind of there's an extra edge to the story. It's just that differentiation. But Zach is always coming to me going, who should I call? And I said, turn to our guests and ask them who to recommend. Back to your walk around. Thanks a lot, Joe.
There's only the good stuff, bad stuff. Take a bite of artificial additives and say hello to a real simple ingredient. Come see why everyone is talking about Dad's Donuts. Their signature 109-layer donuts are delightful American donut
I try, comma, but Joe handed it back to me a little late.
Visit taskforce42.com. Help us help you. Oh, a piece of what you don't pay. Customers of Mortgage NMLS 3039 Michael Swan West and 96071 may be bought and rented off of the current ministry.
Are you worried about the economy depleting your assets? Does your spouse have financial questions or seeking guidance with NFLS Financial? We help you plan.
If we're doing a show together on Monday, you will definitely hear from me by Sunday.
Tired of that never-ending to-do list?
I believe we'll be on next week.
Projects around your house and property? Look no further. Hi, I'm Ellie, and at Peak Manual Labor, we handle it all. Painting, drywall repair, minor plumbing, landscaping, demo, junk removal, and more. Fast, reliable, and affordable, no job is too small. For more info, request a free estimate at peakmanuallabor.com now and let us do the work for you.
5 seconds.
Thanks for joining us as we start another broadcast week at the Peak News. And this is the beginning, really, a first full week of our second year on the air. And we're looking forward to saying the quiet stuff out loud, even louder with your help. And so please go to thepeak.news and find your place here. We really are, with the inauguration today, we're in a different place. And I believe that, everybody, I think, got sick of the censorship. Of the way that the media was just dealing with us, not serving us. And there's time for a renaissance, and we're on the cutting edge or the tip of the spear of that. And by you coming and sharing your voice, by helping us do what we do here, you're helping to serve the community at large. And so we really, really, I don't think people understand how much we have an open door policy here. You have to be a real journalist, you have to serve, but we want you to be part of it. And of course, we would love you to patronize all of our sponsors. You listen to their commercials, but you can also go on our website, thepeak.news, and find them on there. Go to the hot links, patronize them, let them know that you found out about them through the Peak and that you really appreciate that they're bringing that service here. Well, we are Monday through Thursday, so we'll be back tomorrow. Politics and Government Tuesday, we have Pastor Jeff Anderson. We're going to be talking about the presidential inauguration and also Congressman Jeff Crank, our new congressman for the first time in 16 years or something like that. And Jeff is the liaison to the faith community for Congressman Jeff Crank, as he was for Congressman Lamborn. So we're going to talk about what that means for the community. Coming up next is the Larry Elder Show here on The Answer. And if you're jonesing for the Peak, go on thepeak.news and check out our 170 plus podcasts. Join us for Taste of the Peak, our event at the Pinery on January 30th in support of our efforts to raise up a new generation of ethical journalists. Go to thepeak.news/events and get your tickets before they are sold out. The Peak News for such a time as this, Colorado Springs. Shalom.
I didn't close.